So okay. Okay. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being with us here today. Today is April 22nd, and it is Earth Day. United Nations. We're in front of the United Nations to commemorate Earth Day by highlighting the case of the Tibetan nomads who are being forced off their grasslands, being forced off their land to live in these ghetto-style housing blocks with few opportunities and little hope for the future. And many of these Tibetan nomads have been forced to sell or slaughter their animals. So today we have with us Ge Lobsang Dembala, who is going to speak about the plight of the Tibetan nomads, and Zendola, who will translate for him.
Taritanda di lingur paya di tanda ropi sakula ni
Tender.
Ani satang tolochi ada tani jingi ani chik ropa to solata chik kangi pharma sum cham tene ji yong de aji de ne dan chakore and tin zonza ani ti kola teringa de shi shye.
And today on Earth Day, taking this opportunity to raise awareness about the situation in Tibet in terms of environment and what is happening to the Tibetan nomads. The situation right now is very critical because of China's forced resettlement of hundreds of thousands of nomads away from their grasslands. And today I will talk a little bit about some of the real dangers and predicament facing the Tibetan nomads.
That soy ne jana jung karchine ne chegorse ne chik any chuetang region tagana jing chik tene chikarse gor tangong gu ching region ching nyarsa ching zo do tan rokpa de singba zum zo chako tin zum da rokpa tor sik ta ya ni lengur chik zo chako re shi.
And one of the main things we should keep in mind is the fact that the Chinese government knows that the Tibetan nomads are the guardians of Tibet's unique culture and heritage, and for thousands of years it has been the Tibetan nomads who have been the repository of Tibetan Buddhism and Tibetan culture. And because of that, the Chinese government is targeting the way of life of the Tibetan nomads in order to target Tibet's culture and religion.
ane ta konzo chik torsik ta ge chajin ro kande ting yor se na chik tau khiu go ne ane konzo ka chik ropa so ta gorgo ta ya zo de che ane cheron su chik rela ane ra ga sho de cheron su ngu che yins ane ta chik sumje nyonyo ta ya ge tablo mambu ji drig yor da yin ropa su nyeng ge ma tin zon za ta konzo ta da gar che gor se na ane chik rela ra ga ne ane chik sumje la cha sa ya de nyon re ta ya da ne cha won de ane sumje ge sa ya za go re za me zon za ane 자단스 졸로쇼나 심제 뇽레 마탄란단 코 란징 차용 거래 딘디게 탑지기 돈이 아니 지금 로바트스로 공조지 사제직로 뽕야다 안 다가는 징기 지그 다 심징게 지 아니 사야가 자도스 뇽레 땅에 탑들라라가 딘디 지운데는 로바트스 강에 파마 몽부지 태고레스.
And one of the most severe and destructive policies of the Chinese government has been to start the fencing of the grasslands, and this was something they have been doing for many years now. And initially, wherever there are grasslands where nomads are living, the Chinese government started fencing those grasslands, telling the nomads that they have to stay within the fences. And the result was that when the animals have to stay within the fences, they run out of grassland, and basically the fences keep the cattle, including the yaks and sheep, from grazing in places that they would like to, from moving freely across the grasslands. So by confining the animals to a small acre of land with those fences, the Chinese government has caused additional degradation of the grasslands and causing the nomads to actually have no choice but to sell off their animals because the grassland that they were given within the fences could not feed the animals any longer. And the way of life of the nomads is based on mobility. It's based on moving across the grassland season to season. And as a result of the fencing, one of the most serious problems it has created was this kind of loss of fraternity and loss of unity and friendship among the nomads, because in the past the grasslands didn't really belong to anyone and they belonged to everyone at the same time. So all the nomads shared the grasslands freely, moving from one place to another depending on the season and depending on where there were more grassland, more abundant pastures. But after the fencing, they lost that freedom of movement. They lost the ability to move their animals from pasture to pasture. And as a result, this kind of infighting and problems began among the nomads themselves. And this was one of the greatest crimes that the Chinese government has committed against Tibet's nomads. And then the other problem that the nomads are facing today is because there is so much restriction on their movement, they have been forced to move into these ghetto-style housing blocks instead of living in the grasslands. And this put so much restriction on their movement and put them into a new kind of lifestyle for which they were not prepared at all. And it rendered all of their thousands of years of skills and knowledge and wisdom completely useless when these nomads who have lived in freedom for thousands of years now suddenly have to make a living in these concrete housing blocks with skills of business or trade which they had never been prepared for.
Dan dordu shue na donda zo de ta ko bege ne chue dang region ani jikte ni ani rogbe ge jikta saku ge jik mo zang so nyar de di kanga jik mere ngore ten roya ga across lengo de je ma to song sa ja jik la ru ni ti cha me ta ge ta thapsi chigo ma to yang ka ke yo ma de spin zong za jik ta jing go ko da ani jik le number ji de gun go ne ani thablong ten je de ani tan da ani jik kang ge che de chen jing ba nga zo ha ko de ri din nga zo nga so rawang long ba yo ngi ge di to la tona.
Main reasons why the Chinese government also wants to forcibly settle the nomads is based on their intention to keep track of people's movements, to be able to control everybody who lived in Tibet. And traditionally, when the nomads lived in freedom, when they lived on the pastures, they could move from place to place, and it was difficult for the Chinese government to keep track of everyone because nobody had mailing addresses, and this was one of the main intentions now, that the Chinese government wants to forcibly settle everyone so that they can watch people, they can watch their movements, they can watch their behavior and what they're saying. So basically, it is an attack not only against freedom of movement, it's also an attack against freedom of expression. And that's why it's a very urgent kind of problem for Tibet right now, and all of us who are living in exile and all of our supporters. It is really important for us to pay our attention to this particular issue and do our best to resolve this.